What's going on, everybody? This is episode number 4, series number 4 against the mighty Oakland A's. This series was in Arlington, and game one right here is the Shea Show. Shea Langeliers versus the Rangers is what it felt like. Langeliers hit 3 bombs, one in the ninth inning that ended up being the go-ahead winning home run. Rangers fall 4-3. Then game 2, a nice bounce back for the Rangers. Cody Bradford has been dealing this year. Rangers bounce back 2-6. The captain, Marcus Semien, is hot. The bats were good this game. We're feeling up. Then a day game, game 3. It was JP Sears and Seth Brown. 1-0, the Rangers fall and lose the series. Kind of a shocker, really, if we're being honest. But let's take a deeper dive into this.
Yeah, so Oakland takes this series 2-1, and there are a few themes that really come up in this series. Man, first one, where's the bats? This is a team that averages 5.6 runs per game, or at least did last year. And we got, I believe, 3 runs, then 6, then 1. So 2 games were really held down pretty bad. Seager went 0 for 7 with a few strikeouts, I believe 1 walk. Simeon's been hitting the ball well, and Carter's been hitting the ball well too. But this most recent game, Adolis was the only guy with a hit. Do you have anything to say about it?
I watched the first 2 games. I didn't watch the third game too intently, just the day game and whatnot. But JP Sears, I'm shocked that he has so much success against the Rangers. I remember we went to a game last year whenever he pitched, and he kind of did the same thing. He didn't carry the no-hitter. He carried a no-hitter into what? The 7th inning today.
Yeah, it was at least 5. I couldn't catch it today either, but
right, it was into the 7th. So it's kind of like, what is Sears like? What's the success against the Rangers here? But it's just one of those things where you just tip your hat, and the A's actually found a beast as a closer here, Mason Miller. When you got a guy pumping 103, making Seager look like a little leaguer, you got to tip your hat to that kid. He's a beast.
You do. And to go into a little bit more on the A's pitching, we might see him compete a little bit this year. They have a little bit of life in the lineup. You see Langeliers, he's hitting the ball well. But the pitching staff, they're middle of the pack in ERA. I believe they're sitting at 15th in the league right now. And they have given up only 7 home runs on the year, which serves them as top 3. I think they're only behind Cleveland and Kansas City. So they can make some noise, not as a really great all-around ball club, but a really solid pitching staff, and make a little noise in the middle of the pack in the AL West. Next deal for the Rangers, though, some bullpen instability. Leclerc giving up game 1, didn't really have the opportunity to give up game 3, and then game 2 wasn't even a save opportunity. But Rangers this year, 2 blown saves on 3 attempts. We're looking at a little bit of last year, 33 blown saves last year. What are you thinking?
Oh, man. Bochy said he's going to stick with Leclerc, and you can't really – Bochy's the GOAT. Like, you can't really go against what he says.
Right,
so I'm just going to support him. But, man, I just – so nervous whenever Leclerc gets the ball in a close game. It seems like he always gets a quick first out. He walks a guy. And then, if you're in a high-leverage save situation, you can't be walking guys. And he walked a guy, and then – Langeliers, it wasn't really even a strike that he hit out there in the 9th inning. It was above the zone, but the ball was a beach ball for Langeliers that night. So it's like, it just stinks whenever Langeliers gets all 4 RBIs against you. Like, you let one guy beat you, it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And Leclerc was just the one that, gave up that last blow. But I can't remember the last clean, nice inning Leclerc has had this season. I don't know if he's even had one, to be honest with you.
I don't think that's his MO. Yeah, he's always good for a put on a guy, walk, get your heart rate up a little bit. Maybe we're 85 beats per minute. Then you get a single, first and third. He'll get an out or 2. And, heart rate's at 110 at that point. And then he'll get the K, or he won't. We've seen both sides of it. But what you were mentioning there before, it's interesting. Langeliers taking over game 1. You don't see that in baseball very often, where a guy literally just imputes his will on the game. We've seen it happen a couple times this year for the Rangers, though, where we've let one guy beat us. The last series is Jordan. Guy's a monster. We throw at him. I don't know if we can be a little bit more tactical. I mean, obviously Langoliers hits a home run that's not even a strike, so you can only do so much. But yeah, it's just interesting that we're seeing that a little bit this year. Going into it, I mean, when we think about the closer situation, we've got some decent bullpen arms. I mean, really, we've got some great pitching arms we weren't expecting. I mean, Bradford with a 1.4 ERA. I mean, who saw that coming? I will like toot my horn a little bit. He looked really great in the postseason last year. I liked what was going on, but I mean, 1.4 ERA, 3-0 on the season so far. I mean, he's doing special stuff. And then we have Jacob Latz, who's given up 0 runs in 7.1 innings, and then Aranis, who's given up 0 runs in 9.1 innings. Do you start thinking about guys like that, or Robertson, or Kirby Yates, maybe in that closing spot that may not have the power stuff that Leclerc has, but are just a bit more reliable?
I feel like you do, but Bochy already said that he's going to stick with Leclerc, and I feel like if this team's really competing there at the trade deadline, they're going to have to go get somebody. I don't know if it's Bednar or who they're going to have to go get, but they're going to have to go get somebody, because I really don't know, especially with Spores being out. Like, we're going to see some holes in this bullpen. A lot's going to fall on Leclerc if he's going to stay in that closer role. But I think Robertson's been really good this year. Yates has been great. Urania and Latz, both very good. I don't know if any of them really look to be a closer, because I think Urania probably needs to get a few starts, if we're being honest. He's been a starter in his career. But we have Lorenzen coming back, and he'll be a starter, so it'll push somebody to the pin. I don't know who the odd man out is going to be.
Probably Dunning or Heaney, you would think.
Probably Heaney, I would guess, which would help the bullpen a little bit, but still, Heaney's not going to be a closer type guy. So, no. And we don't have any arms that, like, okay, Mason Miller throws 103, I understand that, but we don't have any arms that can hit 100 that are healthy right now. Like DeGrom obviously can, but healthy arms that can throw 100, nobody.
Yeah, well, I think that's a little bit of a state of our pitching development. I mean, you see a lot of these guys, they're farm guys that come up. I mean, Mason Miller being an example. I'm trying to think the guy from Tennessee from years ago, but that's a drafted guy that gets brought up. Doesn't seem like we are able to do that same sort of pitching development for whatever reason. Nonetheless, though, let's get into the AL West standings and get looking at it a little early, but it looks good still. We have the Rangers at the top. We have the Angels, who are fighting at second place. They're only a game back of us, I believe, which is pretty surprising given the offseason moves that happened for them. And then after that, we have the A's. I mean, they're fighting for it. They're 2 games back. Then we have Seattle, and then we have Houston taking up the bottom. They are 4-10. Talk about a nightmare start for the AL runner-up. I mean, this is a team that was probably winning a World Series last year if we weren't in the way, and they are 4-10 to start the season.
I love to see it, though. I do. But man, whenever you look at the American League as a whole, you kind of just look at the AL West, and they kind of look down this year. Obviously, the AL East is just their powerhouse. And then the Central has some decent teams this year. And then the AL West is kind of, I mean, we're the only team over 500, the Rangers, which is kind of shocking.
Yep. Obviously, we're early. And, to say this is a 3-game set, we lost to Oakland. They'll diverge. We'll figure out what these teams are actually like, over the coming months and what injuries look like. And that wraps up the Oakland series recap. We now head down to Houston to take on the Astros. So we will get you all the outcomes and analysis from that series next time.